Hello, everybody. This is Pete from PA Labs, and I'm doing an encore video of the database, kind of a recap look at the database. For those of you who are studying this and working your way through the understanding of this, and therein is the key. You must understand that if you are going to write to a database, these are all the things you got to do, and you got to do it right, okay? Every single database table you write to, you have this volume of code to write. And as you can tell from the, I believe it's 13 videos that I did a week or so ago, uh, it's an awful lot to write, isn't it? And if you do this enough times, I don't mean to laugh, but if you build a program and you have, say, 10 or 15 or 20 database tables, and you build this volume of code for each and every single table to be able to write to the code, I can tell you what you're going to discover. What you're going to discover is there's a formula here, okay? These, I believe it's what, 7, not counting the list. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, 7. 7 functions will be for every table. You're going to have a person init. You're going to have an account init. You're going to have, maybe you're writing a general ledger or a database, you got a million different accounts. You got a bunch of different database tables. Some of them have 2 fields. Some of them have 40 fields, but it doesn't matter. What you're going to write will always look the same. And you're probably going, Pete, you've lost your frickin' mind. But I haven't. If you come over here and you look at this, the only thing that's really changing between this table and that table are these 3 lines of code, right? And if you come down here, the only thing that's going to change is the list of right here. These guys. And matter of fact, it's really going to come down to those 2 lines and these 2 fields. Every single table find you ever write in your life is exactly the same. Okay? What differs is the fields and the data types that separate each individual field on the table, the name of the table. Okay? This time we have an integer and a string. Next time we may have 5 strings and maybe 3 images and something else. But you still have to write the find. The only thing you're really going to change is what are the names of the fields you're pulling and what is the table name. You're still going to say where ID equals, okay? And down here, you're going to have 7, 10, 15, 30. It doesn't matter how many lines right there. But the only thing that changes are the fields. All right, let's go down here and take a look. And the important thing is you have to work your way through this to understand this. And if you have followed these videos and downloaded the code and have written it yourself and poured through it over and over and grasp what I'm teaching you here, you'll see that when it all comes down to it, person save is just a save. The person is the table. So you're still going to call a validate on this class. It's still going to check fields. You're going to write this segment right here, and it's just going to swap out different names out here, maybe different data types. You're going to still insert into a table, and you're going to have a different list of fields. but you're still going to provide the fields and you're still going to provide a question mark for each field. And then when you do the update, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and expand all of this. I want to point this out because it's obvious. So you're still going to set the class to clean the state. You're still going to look up the ID. It'll just be to a different table. Okay. You're still going to do an update. What's going to change? These two lines right here, or actually that line, whoever you're updating, and these guys down here, right? That's it. You're going to update a bunch of fields on a table where ID equals something, right? So there's a formula here. And honestly, it didn't take me more than about 5 or 10 tables to realize that. And this was back in Visual Basic 4, I think, when I started this. And I was writing VB4 against a Microsoft SQL database, okay? And was it SQL? Was it Oracle? I guess it's Sybase. Hell, I don't know. It was any of those. I've written to all three of them. I don't think Sybase is still around anymore, but a database is a database is a database. Every database has ODBC connections. So, you can literally connect to absolutely any database in God's earth with ODBC. So it's not difficult. All it is just instead of passing SQL, you pass ODBC. Or SQLite type, you pass ODBC type. No big deal. You can use Access if you want for your database in PureBasic. You could use Access for just about anything. Access right now is pretty much a Microsoft SQL database, I understand. So, but you connect with it from ODBC, it works like a champ. No big deal. Then you get all the cool features of connecting your tables and such. So, but what I'm trying to point out to you is it's a formula. Okay? So why are we writing the same thing over and over and over and over and over? A million database tables later, at some point you're going to hit yourself against a wall and say, I am sick and tired of copying the code and then tweaking all the dadgum names to make it match this table versus that table versus whatever. Well, guys, let me introduce you to something, okay? Because it became obvious to me, and I started working on a program that I called Class Builder, okay? And what I'm going to do is hit the Control B, letter B as in boy, which is what I have set up in my tools here to run Class Builder, okay? And if we come out here to Class Builder, it takes it, yes, there we go. And I say, yes, go ahead, and say, yes, go ahead. Okay, Class Builder just installed himself to our project here. If I want to create this exact same table, we have a table called person, right? Person. P-E-R-S-O-N. I think nope, screwed it up. P-E-R-S-O-N. And our database table is person. Well, we have main. We have a person table. Did we have a list? Yes, we did. It was on main. So let's say we had a list of this, which was our employees list, right? Goodness gracious, there we go. Now, we're going to come down here and add an ID, right? First field on our table was an ID. What was his data type? Let me think. It was an integer. And we want him to be the primary key, and we want him to be auto-incremented. Oof, I'm done. Now we have a name. And let's see, he's a string. And I betcha we have a string name. We want him to be not null. And we want him to be 75 characters, right? And now let's come over here to this tab and say, build me a combo box, build me a list icon, and let's say that that's going to be 155 characters. And oh yeah, I want him less justified. Cool, done. Now we have age, right? And we're going to come over here and say age is an integer. And I'm not going to do any of that. We'll come over here and say, put him into string age. And I'm done. And we're going to save this. And now, if I want to create my database table, here's the SQL to go create your database table. You can run that as a query in your database manager. Now, I want you to take a look-see at this. I'm going to, well, I need to get it big, but I don't want it to take up the whole screen because I kind of want this guy to show up in the background. All right, now let's go ahead and collapse some of this. This is actually a stencilla. Okay, I want you to take a look here. If I come across here and I say, let's collapse all this down to where we can read it on one screen. All right, we have a init step. We have a dispose step. We have a find step. We have a save step. We have a delete step. We have a validate step. And we have a delete validate step. So what you just saw me do takes how many seconds? 45, 30? And I just generated the entire database code that those 13 videos walk you through the creation of. Just let that sink in for a second, okay? You can, through this GUI, create your fields and create your entire database without writing a single line of the code. Now, that in and of itself is pretty cool, but it's worthless, totally worthless, unless you understand the code that you have just created. And this is, my friends, the code that it creates for you. Okay? Yes, it's not absolutely perfect. Occasionally it comes up with some squirrely junk, but it's easier to fix the occasional squirrely error than it is to write these, what is that, 279 lines of code over and over and over and over again. Okay? That is the recap to the entire database video series that I want to give you. What I want you to go do, and for those of you following along and actually writing the code and studying this and learning how to write to a database, learn the code. Pour through the project. It's out there on the website for downloading. Go through the videos and understand how and why those functions need to be there, and understand their purpose, and understand the layout and the structure and how it works. And then you can jump over to the Class Builder series of videos, my friends, and watch those, and that will walk you through how to use Class Builder, and you're going to start seeing it more on a lot of my videos. A lot of my videos have already introduced this to you. It doesn't cost that much work to use Class Builder. In fact, it saves you, I don't know how many thousands of lines of code. And in 8 months or 10 years of using it, it's going to save you hundreds of thousands of lines of code. And that's no joke. It doesn't, when you can create a database table in a matter of seconds, there's nothing stopping you from creating lots of database tables. You don't see it as an obstacle of, oh God, now I have to build a database table. That's going to take me a week to build the database code to write to 75 fields on this one table. Oh my God. No. All you got to do is set it up in Class Builder, push a few buttons, and you got all that code. Okay? And you'll actually get more than that because Class Builder supports the parent-child relationship and generates all your code for a parent-child relationship as well. So, and it will go however many layers deep you want to do. If you want 3 layers deep or 25 layers deep, or think in terms of my war game. If you've seen any of the war game videos, I have the game. The game owns map. Map owns player, unit, hex grid. Map owns about 9 different tables. And then several of those tables own tables which own tables. Okay? I can't even fathom how I would write that from scratch. But no, it's very simple with Class Builder. You just link them up and it does it for you. So this is the recap video for those of you programming and want to learn how to program. First, learn the code, then learn how to do it smarter. Okay? So that really concludes this recap of the database series for the Beginner's Corner. And as always, thanks for watching, folks.